City Health at 4:40 or 7:44. What time is it?
4:44.
Whoa, that would have been awfully early. Yvette Lu, Dr. Yvette Lu is here to talk about Blue Monday. First of all, is it a real thing? Is it a...
It's arbitrary. There's a formula that's out there, but you know, it was created by a public relations company, created by a psychologist. It's not mathematical. There's no reason why today is happier or sadder than any other day in January.
Good to know.
You know, but with the darker days, it definitely affects mood, and we hear this time and time again, the seasonal affective disorder. Break this down for us and how this differs from the idea of actual depression.
So there is a real condition. It's a subtype of depression called seasonal affective disorder. And what happens is that every year at the same time, people get depression. Now, most people have the fall onset type of seasonal affective disorder, so it comes on late fall, winter. It improves in the summer. A few people have the spring onset type, which we don't hear about very much, and that comes on in the spring and improves in the fall. We don't really know why people have seasonal affective disorder. For the people who have the fall onset type, we think it has to do with the reduced amount of light. So we do see more seasonal affective disorder as we increase up to higher latitudes. So people with less light around in their ambient lighting do have more seasonal affective disorder. And it may be related to how the light affects the hormones in our brain, like the levels of serotonin, which is a neurotransmitter that regulates mood, melatonin, which is a hormone that affects our day-night cycle.
So if we're feeling that sort of seasonal sad right about now, what are some of the things we can do to improve that?
There's a lot of things that you can do at home. First of all, you want to make sure you don't have seasonal affective disorder and depression, like clinical depression. So you want to talk to your doctor if your symptoms are severe, if you've been sad for more than 2 weeks, if you're experiencing a lot of symptoms, if it's affecting your everyday life, then you need to see your doctor, because there are physical medical conditions that can mimic depression, that can look like depression, and you need to make sure those are treated. If, like thyroid disease, for example, can mimic depression. But if you just have a mild condition, then there are lots of things you can do at home, like exercise, making sure you spend time outdoors. Even 10 to 15 minutes outdoors with the daylight can help your mood. Eating a healthy diet, not too many sugary foods, no excess alcohol, avoiding illicit drugs, finding fun things to do in the winter. There's lots of fun things that you can do in the winter, like ice skating, planning social activities, because social connectedness is important for mood. And for seasonal affective disorder, we also have a light therapy that we use for people who actually have the disease, because 2 to 3% of people have the actual disease, seasonal affective disorder. About 15% of people have winter blues, which is sort of a milder form. It doesn't affect your day-to-day life, but you do feel a little bit down. And those people can benefit from a light box. So it's a special box that emits a certain intensity of light. And if you sit in front of it for 30 minutes a day, most people do notice improvement in mood.
And the idea of being proactive about the treatment, it sounds like, is so key. What if someone is experiencing some degree of sadness and does nothing? What's the long-term impact of just being passive about the treatment?
That's a good question. First of all, it's we want to make sure we rule out the medical condition, as we talked about before. And second of all, if you don't treat the condition, it can get worse.
There are a number of websites that you've armed us with today that people can check in on. Because there are so many different levels, this is really something that you do need to check with a professional on, right?
Mm-hmm, very true.
So what are your first steps in terms of, if you go online, what's the first place you would go?
I would go to, there's actually so many. There's Here to Help BC, there's the Canadian Mental Health Association.
That's up now,
yes,
cmha.bc.ca.
And
HealthLink BC.
HealthLink BC, of course, I usually recommend that for most of my segments. And for children, there's something called Mind Check. I don't know if you guys remember, the Canucks launched it with several mental health organizations after the passing of Rick Ripien.
Right.
Rick Ripien was a big one, yeah, mindcheck.ca. Well, listen, I know exercise was a big point that you mentioned. Dawn's getting fit and getting moving in the lab this morning, definitely going to help her mood. Peter Twist and friends, take it away. Thanks so much.